Hey everybody, Jeff Antoniuk here. Welcome to Digging Deeper Jazz. So today I want to talk about voice leading. Some people call it guide tones. This is going to be amazing information for all instruments, whether you're walking a bass line, whether you're soloing, whether you're comping. I hope you hang out and check this out. And as always, I'm mostly talking to my adult, amateur, semi-pro friends out there, folks who just maybe don't have a lot of good information, who are geared to the level that you're at. That's what I want to be doing here with Digging Deeper. So thank you so much for being here. Now, there is a previous video where I started talking about voice leading, went through what it is, also called guide tones, and I'm sure there's some other terms for it. But if you look back at that video, you'll be able to get a little bit more of a description. I'm not going to go through the whole thing here again, but I want to give you another example, this time using a Thelonious Monk tune, the song I just played, In Walked Bud. And this song has the most amazing voice leading built right into it. Here's the thing I want to say though. Any song you know, if it's good enough that you know it, it has voice leading in it. That's the structure that makes a good song a good song. The harmony of a tune, if the harmony is good enough that you know that tune, it's because the harmony is built in there. That would be like a house. If there is a house or a building that's been standing for 10 years, it's standing because it was built correctly in the first place. So when we talk about building a great solo, a great chord progression, a great melody, we're talking about voice leading. Check out this tune. So again, that's the Thelonious Monk composition In Walked Bud, written for the great Bud Powell. Now, in that song, there's an amazing line. The song is jumping around, the tune is jumping around, but can you tell the line, the voice leading that's going through there? There's this logical path that goes through the middle of the tune. This goes back to classical music and Bach and long before J.S. Bach as well. Voice leading, the idea that in a complicated melody, a bebop melody, there's going to be a line that takes us through there. Now today, not only are we going to observe that, but we're going to talk about what to do with it. So in this tune, if you look at the second item on the sheet, you'll see I wrote out what is that voice leading line, the guide tones that go through this tune. It sounds like this. So I played the melody, just the first 8 measures of In Walked Bud, and then I played the voice leading line. So it's that, happens to be this descending chromatic line. And it descends through like 6, 7, 8 measures of this tune. It's an amazing, long, fantastic voice leading line. So you can see the idea is that line ends up being a chord tone. So now bass players will use this sort of thing in their bass lines. A piano player or guitar player will use this in their comping. These lines will keep them from jumping all over the piano or moving 8 frets at a time on the guitar. They'll invert things around these voice leading lines. Thelonious Monk wrote a very memorable melody around this line. So look at the sheet again. We see his voice leading line, an F in the first measure, down to an E natural in the second measure, down to an E flat in the third measure, down to a D natural, and then a D flat in the fourth measure. Let's just use that much. Now look at every note that aren't the voice leading notes. So in the first measure, our F is the voice leading note. We go up to a C. Oh, that's a chord tone, interesting to know. Okay, second measure, we go down to the E. Oh, it goes back up to a C in the second measure. Third measure, down to an E flat, our voice leading note. Back up to the C, still a chord tone. In the fourth measure, our D natural, This time it goes up to a B flat, again, a chord tone. So we have a voice leading line, and then everything else is a chord tone. How much more simple could it be? How much more cool sounding could it be? Let's listen to that again. So that voice leading line is really what's going on. And we see this, and again, I keep coming back to J.S. Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach. And in his music, there would be these very intricate melodies, many eighth notes or sometimes 16th notes that would be moving around, very often a static note, like that top C we keep seeing in Walk Bud, and then a moving line in the bottom. So the melody is playing counterpoint with itself. It's the coolest thing. So this is something that we could challenge ourselves. If it's a composer out there, yes, try to write a tune consciously using voice leading. Now the deal is, I would suggest that you solo using voice leading. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're getting ready to turn off the video because that's a bunch of BS and that's impossible. Who could think about playing the saxophone and remembering the fingerings and playing with a good embouchure and remembering your diaphragm and your air support and your posture, 100 other things, play the right notes, play the chords, play with a good time, and oh, by the way, somehow remember this line that isn't even written down most of the time? Who could possibly remember that? That's what I was thinking years ago when somebody sat me down and said, hey, Jeff, here's voice leading, use this. And I was like, what? That's impossible. Okay, here's the thing. You do this all day long, just with a different language. Instead of the language of music, you use your native language. It could be English, it could be Portuguese, it could be whatever. So this sentence that I'm saying right now, I have no clue where the adverbs are, or even if there is an adverb, or I don't really remember what an adverb is. I didn't know that the last word of that sentence was going to be the word is. How do I speak? How do I start a sentence not even knowing what I'm going to say? You get the idea. It's crazy when you think about how we speak and we don't know what's going to happen next, yet it's almost always perfect. Why is that? Because you practice your language for 5 or 10 or 20 years or 70 or 80 years now. We've gotten very, very good at our language, right? So that's what we're doing on these instruments. So be aware of nouns and adverbs or all the parts of grammar and the parts of speech in your language, right? You're aware of that stuff. You learn a little bit more as you go along. You listen to people who speak well. You copy them. That's what we're doing here. So I'm letting you know this is a part of musical grammar that we should know about. So let me do this. And we'll just do it for the first 4 measures, just to keep it simple for you guys to follow and keep it simple for me because I have to actually do this stuff. Okay, we're going to do 4 measures. I'm going to play the melody. I'm going to play the voice leading line, and then I'm going to improvise. And see if you can most especially hear that line going through Monk's melody, then we'll hear the line, then I'll improvise a bit using that line. Okay, I improvised, I don't know, 3, 4 times through there. Some of them were better than others. I never promise perfection here. I promise, close. But I think every single one of those had the voice leading in there. Now, yes, now I would practice. Did I love every one of those? Would I want those to be on my next CD? Maybe, maybe not. That's the practice part. So what do I mean? I want you to get these into your solos. Do what I did there for 5 minutes on those 4 measures. So the idea is I'm having that F down to E, down to E flat, that voice leading line. And now I practice it over and over and over again. First of all, can I just get those notes in the right place? Well, that's essentially reading number 2 on the sheet. So the next thing is, now can I play around that? And can I do it interestingly? Can I play something that maybe I've never heard before or that, I haven't copied? A lot of what I played, I've stolen from other players before me. That's how we jazz musicians do it. That is what I want you to do. Now, here's a very good question you're probably asking is like, okay, now I know what voice leading is. Now I can see that line. It's obvious now, but I've heard this song 100 times in the past. I've never really noticed that before. Is there a voice leading line in Autumn Leaves? The answer is yes. Is there a voice leading line in Tenor Madness by Sonny Rollins? Or in All the Things You Are by Jerome Kern? Or 1,000 other songs? The answer is yes, 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 yes. And now how do we find them, right? So that's a great question. Like, okay, fantastic, but I have no clue what the voice leading line in All the Things You Are is. Well, okay, so that's where this experience of having somebody who knows it a little bit better shows it to you. And by the way, this is exactly what we're going to be doing week in, week out at jazzwire.net. We're going to be looking at a different tune every couple weeks. And we're going to be analyzing these songs in like 20 different ways. And one of the big ways is looking at voice leading. So I'm going to show you on Autumn Leaves how we're going to do that. I'm going to show you on All the Things You Are and pick the next tune. You'll get to request songs, by the way. So we'll do this. Now imagine after you found 10 voice leading lines through 10 different songs you know, after a while you're getting the hang of it. After the 15th song, after the 20th song, you know what this is. You'll be able to find this. So it's a matter of just doing it, right? So finding these voice leading lines, and I sure needed help to begin with. So I hope that we get to do that work together. And then the next thing is just practice it. So for today, this is the song. I want you playing In Walked Bud. You know what the voice leading line is. Narrow it down to the first 4 measures and do it for 5 minutes and see what you can find. I think you're going to see this as a pretty powerful tool. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that helps. As always, I love to hear from you guys, so please leave some comments. Always subscribe to these videos, and most importantly, just share this information around. If you enjoy this, if you know somebody else that would, send it to them. Thanks so much, folks. See you next time.